to some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. Kill her, Mommy. Kill her.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
This is my boomstick. Here's Johnny.
I have to return some videotapes.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Hello and welcome to All Things Horror. My name is Ben and I am joined here with my lovely wife Lana. If you're unfamiliar with the show, each week we choose a movie to break down and review. We give our honest opinions and rate it from 1 to 10. This week we're going to be talking about Hellraiser II from 1988. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
The vision is renewed. The power is reawakened. The fear is reborn. Because they have returned.
Time to play.
Hellbound, Hellraiser II. Brace yourself for terror you have never imagined.
And your suffering will be legendary even in hell.
And horrors you can never escape.
And you wanted to know. Now you know.
Last year, they brought hell to Earth. Now, they'll take you through hell. Hellbound, Hellraiser II. Time to play.
Alright, Hellraiser 2, aka Hellbound. Kirsty is brought to an institution after horrible events of Hellraiser in 1987, where the occult obsessive head doctor resurrects Julia and unleashes the Cenobites and their demonic underworld. So this is directed by Tony Randel, story written by Clive Barker, and he also served as an executive producer. Main cast is Ashley Laurence, Kenneth Cranham, Imogen Borman, Clare Higgins and Doug Bradley, with a total runtime of 1 hour 39 minutes. This is available on Amazon Prime and Shudder, and also Now TV is where we watched it. So welcome back, Lana, for your second time on the show.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back.
Our last episode was Christine, episode 13.
It was indeed.
I mentioned on that one, you're more of a book reader than movie watcher. However, you don't tend to shy away from the horrors, whether it be movie or books.
Definitely more into books, and I do love a horror.
This was a first time watch for you?
It was, yeah. I've seen the first one, but never got round to watching the second.
Yeah, I've been keen to know what you'd think of this.
I enjoyed it. I did. I thought it was quite a good movie. I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but...
Yeah, because over the years I've bought you many kind of horror novels, especially ones that are based on movies that I love. The first one being The Hellbound Heart. I think that was the first book I ever got for you.
I think it was. Actually, no, I think it was Cabal.
Oh,
so
really?
that's Clive
okay.
Barker as well.
Yeah.
That's the first Clive Barker I read. And that was a really good book. I enjoyed that. That's kind of what got me into it. Obviously, we watched the first Hellraiser when we first got together because it is your favourite movie.
It is, yeah.
But I fell asleep, didn't I?
Yeah.
I upset you.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry. But no, it was a really good book. The only thing is, I was pregnant at the time and I was reading it when I went into labour, if you remember.
I do.
So then I think I was about halfway through and then I had a baby. So I can't really remember.
You did finish it though, didn't you?
I did finish it. I can't really remember though.
Oh, okay.
Baby brain.
Reread?
I'll need to reread it, but it's packed, so...
Would you say that was your favourite Clive Barker? Because I think I've got you 3. Cabal, Hellbound Heart. What's the other one?
Weave World.
Weave World.
That's
okay.
my favourite.
Oh, okay.
Definitely my favourite. So that's a pretty chunky book, but I must have read that in about 3 weeks, something.
All right.
It was really good. So it was like bits of fantasy in there. I don't know how much I'm allowed to spoil this book.
Yeah, we're not covering that.
Okay, cool. So the whole premise is it's this other world, this kind of bringing this whole, this pleasurable, fanciful world, and it's hidden inside a carpet, which I thought is such a bizarre and creative idea. And the main character, he's really interesting, keeps it. It's just an all-round good book, good characters. There's like sweet moments in there, there's horrible moments. Yeah, my favourite one, definitely.
So Clive Barker, I mean, I've not read any of his books. I'm not really a book reader, but I do love his movies, even though he's only really done 3 or 4. He's got a specific style. Is it all of his books, well, the 3 that you've read, I think they're all kind of fantasy horror. He's got his same kind of BDSM type fantasy, gruesome type horror.
Yeah, so Cabal and the Hellbound Heart, definitely. You can tell he likes some BDSM. Weave World is less like that, which I think is why it's my favourite. So it's very much like set in this fantasy element, and you can tell he's put so much thought into the characters, into the world, into like everything just in it. He's created like trees, fruits.
Okay.
It's just really cool. Like you can tell how much work he's put into that story. And it's all about like this kind of desire to want to go to a better place, which is a theme that he definitely explores in all of his books, but I don't think it's quite as like fetishy and dark in Weave World.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think Hellbound Heart would have been one of his first kind of novels, but I think he got the inspiration for that for actually going to BDSM fetish type clubs, like gay clubs back in the early 80s, because he's from Liverpool. So that's read into that what you will, but
that does not surprise me.
That is apparently
the
what he's into.
BDSM clubs not being from Liverpool.
Yeah. How does he rate in your favourite authors? Would you put him up there, or?
Horror, I'd put him up there, definitely. I mean, probably a bit of a controversial opinion, but I do find his stories they flow a lot nicer than Stephen King.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Stephen King, he really rates Clive Barker. I think on the front of one of his books he said, he's one of the best upcoming horror novelists. So, I mean, if Stephen King is a big fan of you, then that's got to say something.
Yeah, I would definitely put him up there, but he needs to write more. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. So I'm interested to know if there's anything the book kind of hit on more than the movie. Because I remember when I got you the book, you did tell me there was a few things, obviously the book went into more detail about. Obviously they couldn't include everything in the film, otherwise that would be like a 4-hour film. But I was just interested to know if anything was missed from the first movie and they kind of included it, whether it be in this one or if the book elaborates a bit more.
I don't think there's anything that it hit on more. The way that they described the Cenobites was very different for me. because I imagined them being more kind of not as gruesome.
Okay.
So Pinhead, they actually described as having breasts, interestingly.
Okay, all right.
Which I think is why in the remake they've made
Yeah.
a female Pinhead. And most of them they described as being neither female nor male,
Right.
which is interesting.
That is interesting. Because you got like the main 4 Cenobites from the movie. I know in the original I don't think they really had names, because Pinhead wasn't his name in the original. That was a name that the fans came up with. I think he was just known in the credits as the main Cenobite.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the female one was just female Cenobite.
Yeah, well, the female should have been Pinhead, really.
Yeah.
The only other thing really I'd noticed is in the film, Julia's a bit more villainised, I think. Whereas in the book, it's kind of from her point of view. And you see her like she's bored of her husband and she's thinking about how much fun she used to have with Frank. And
Okay.
Cause,
all right.
is he called Larry?
Larry, yeah.
He's quite a dull man. And she's thinking, ugh, I'm so fed up of Larry. Because it's done from her perspective and her bringing Frank back because she's, her husband's boring. She wants a bit more spice in her life.
He is a bit of a pushover.
Yeah. Whereas in the film, it's done more like Julia's this evil woman cheating on her husband.
Right, okay. Yeah. You get a lot more out of Julia in this film than you do the original.
You do. You see more of her, don't you?
She's
Get a bit more.
Yeah, she is definitely more villainised in this one. But the first one, I seem to remember in the episode we did for Hellraiser, I think I said that I didn't rate her acting that much. She just weren't too believable. But this one, I don't know, she definitely amped it up for this one.
She's got better.
Yeah. I mean, this is, I would imagine, her biggest role that she's had. So, yeah.
She's been practicing.
She stepped it up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you haven't seen any more in the franchise, have you? Just these two?
Just these two.
And the remake.
And the remake.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the remake, though. It was very
good,
different.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it was good.
Because it wasn't like a straight remake of the original. There was no Frank and Julia and that. It was literally a complete new story.
They've totally just revamped the whole thing.
Because there's a total of 11 movies in the franchise. I'll just quickly run through them. So there's the original, and then Hellbound, this one, and then it was Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and then Bloodline, Inferno, Hellseeker, Deader, Hellworld, Revelations, Judgment, and then the remake. I don't I don't rate the franchise that much.
I've heard not very good things about it.
Hellraiser is up there in my top horrors. I love Hellraiser, the original one. I think it's amazing. Hellraiser 2, still pretty good, especially for a sequel, because sequels tend to not live up to their original. Hellraiser 3 is okay, and then after that, not so much.
So wasn't Clive Barker involved in the first 3, and then not in the rest?
I'm not sure about the third one, but definitely this one.
You can definitely see, like, from reading his work and then watching that, you can see that he's involved just from some of, like, the scenes and the way it's been done.
Yeah.
You can, like, see the correlation between it.
I know, I need to look into that, because I know Tony Randel, the guy who directed this one, he had a lot of involvement in the third one. And he was a good director for this one, I think. He carried it on quite well. He obviously respected Clive Barker's writing, and he was a producer. But I think he followed it on fairly well for him.
That's good. Although I'm sure something isn't placed quite right in his head. Clive Barker.
Clive Barker?
Yeah. Some of the scenes he writes, I'm thinking, oh my.
Yeah.
What is going through this guy's brain when he writes this shit?
Well, I did read, apparently, Tony Randel was going through quite a really dark patch in his life when he directed this one, so I think he was in a similar headspace.
Yeah. I mean, you write what you know. As someone that writes, nothing like that ever comes into my head. And I don't know, maybe it will after reading Clive Barker, but...
After watching this one, would you want to carry on and see where it goes from there? Because they left it kind of open at the end without any spoilers, but is that enough for you to say, okay, I'll give the third one a go?
I'd give it a go if I didn't have much else on, but I wouldn't be like queuing up to see it, if you know what I mean.
Well, I made it to Inferno, which I think is the fifth one. Yeah, the fifth one. And that wasn't good. I do like the third one, but it's kind of silly but fun. They take all the good bits and they run with it, but storyline, don't read too much into the storyline.
No.
And Motorhead did the theme tune for it, so
oh yeah,
great song,
good song.
Yeah, as far as sequels go, I think, you know, it's good. I mean, there's definitely worse.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than Christine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Well, it's more like what I'm into, isn't it? All this, like, creepy, horror-y fantasy world thing.
I looked into Tony Randel's other stuff, and there's not an awful lot.
No?
No.
One-time thing.
Yeah. This is his biggest thing he's ever done, I would say. I mean, I haven't really watched any of his other stuff. He did a dodgy remake, well, not even a remake, but a follow-on of Amityville Horror in the 90s. But they've done so many of them now, Amityville Horrors. They've done loads.
Talk about milking it.
And he did 2 episodes of the TV show Power Rangers.
Always a good one for the portfolio.
And some vampire film I've never heard of. But
what's it called?
I don't know.
I like a vampire film.
He's done a lot, but yeah, like I say, nothing to write home about. I did look into why Clive Barker didn't direct this, and it was basically because the original was such a huge success, they wanted to just jump straight into making the sequel. But Clive Barker, he couldn't really commit to that straight away because he'd already started looking into creating his novella Cabal into a feature film, which is, you know, it becomes Nightbreed. So he was kind of in the midst of making that.
Because he only really wrote the first one, so that's it then. He's out of ideas. And he's got this fresh new idea to work with. He's like, but I've got this whole other novel.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, this one's good. They like it. Carry on with this one.
Did you really liked Cabal, didn't you?
I did really like Cabal, yeah.
Nightbreed, did you like the film?
I liked the film. Definitely not as good as the book.
Okay.
I thought Boone was like really good looking, and then he's not in the film. That was very disappointing. I fancied him in the book.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a kind of like greaser type, wasn't he?
A greaser.
Well, in the film, he had that slick back hair and the leather jacket and tight jeans.
Yeah, a greaser. Not my type. But he had, no offence to the actor, but he had a weird shaped head as well.
He did, yeah.
Sorry. Whoever the actor in that film
think what his name is.
Apologies, but your head is weird.
But I think over time he did grow a bit of a beard and stuff, and it kind of shaped his head a bit better.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a really good book. And one of my very first Clive Barker read that got me into it. So
yeah. I mean, that's kind of pretty much it, other than seeing what the budget in the box office made. So this one had a budget of 6 mil, which compared to the first film only got 1 mil as a budget. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the original had a 1 mil budget and made 14.6 mil.
Wow. They really made the money back, didn't they?
But this one had a budget of 6 mil, but only made a box office of 12.1. So, you know, the original made 13.6 mil profit, but this one only made 6.1.
Big jump then.
Rotten Tomatoes, the critics rated it at 50%. So it's not unusual for sequels. They very rarely live up to the original.
Yeah, well, it's how they had to think of a whole new idea.
Yeah, although Clive Barker didn't write it, I suppose.
He co-produced, or did he produce it?
He was an executive producer.
Does that mean he helped? Or?
Yeah.
So he helped. He helped.
It weren't filmed too far away from here. It was in Pinewood Studios, which is in Buckinghamshire. We live in Buckinghamshire. It's only, 50 minutes down the road?
Yeah. Pinewood Studios.
Yeah. You do get flashes back to the Cotton House, which is in London, in Cricklewood in London, which still is under an hour away.
Cricklewood.
Cricklewood. Do you like that?
Yeah. I've never heard of Cricklewood. We should go.
Yeah. The house, people live there. The house still looks exactly the same as it does in the film.
Let's have a date night to Cricklewood.
Yeah. I mean, that is all, unless you got anything else you want to add.
No, nothing else I want to add.
Yeah, okay. Would you want to go ahead and jump into the plot, and I'll hit that spoiler warning?
Hit that spoiler warning.
All right, let's go.
Spoiler warning.
Alright, so the movie starts off... Well, actually, the very start of the movie, you literally see the ending of the first movie.
Yeah, we have a recap.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a solid 5 minutes of the last movie.
You don't see that much in a film, do you? Like previously on.
Yeah. It seemed to be more of a thing in the 80s. Because what was the last episode we did? Was it The Fly? No. Halloween 2. That did exactly the same thing. So Halloween 2 was literally the ending of Halloween 1. So I don't know, it just seemed to be a thing back then. You don't really get it now. One
of those cliches for that time period. All the time periods have different little things in their movies.
So after you see the recap, it goes back to way in the past. You don't actually get to know when exactly it is, but we see a British military officer who's Elliot Spencer, and he's transformed into the Cenobite Pinhead after opening the Lament configuration. That was interesting. I really like that you get to see how Pinhead kind of became a Cenobite. Do you say he mentioned that in the book?
I don't know for sure.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I'm going to reread The Hellbound Heart after this, I think.
So, I've got a bit of trivia on this. So, Clive Barker, he developed an elaborate backstories for all the Cenobites in the first film, but their origins were never explored properly. So, as he created the story for this film, he really wanted to make sure that at the very least, the audience understood that the Cenobites were once human and that their own vices led to their becoming of demons.
Oh, that is interesting. It's interesting because, I mean, this is a bit later on, but I was wondering what made some of them Cenobites that open the cube and some of them not. So I looked it up, and I found that Clive Barker has said it's the ones that the Leviathan deemed like worthy of wanting to be a like needing, having that desire.
Yeah.
Whereas with Frank, he just wanted to have sex, basically.
Yeah.
He wanted the pleasure. He weren't interested in the other stuff.
Do you reckon that's what Elliot Spencer was into then?
Must be.
So it then jumps to the present day. Shortly after her father is killed by Frank Cotton, Kirsty Cotton is admitted to a psychiatric hospital interviewed by Dr. Channard and his assistant Kyle McRae. She tells her account of the events and pleads to them to destroy the bloody mattress that her murderous stepmother Julia Cotton died on. So yeah, we also see during that scene that Kirsty sees her dad, Larry, who's skinless Larry, and he's all bloody on the wall, and he writes, "I am in hell, help me."
Yeah. Something dodgy with that scene. When I saw it, I thought, I feel like that's a trap. It's a trap.
It is.
It is a trap.
We're in spoilers, we can say.
Yeah, but obviously I've never seen the film before, so I had no idea. But watching that, I was like, that's not your dad. Your dad would not be putting you through that if he was dead.
Yeah. And obviously, why would he be there? Why would he be trapped in hell? Why would he have gone to hell?
Yeah, exactly.
He got murdered.
He didn't have anything to do with it, so
Yeah.
he wouldn't have gone down with the Cenobites.
Well,
She clearly believed it.
Oliver Smith, he's the guy that played Skinless Frank in the original one. He reprised his role, and we get to see him later on. But he also played this character, who's said to be Skinless Larry. He was good for these roles because he was so skinny, it allowed the makeup department make him look more realistic, like
More
he is actually...
skinless.
Yeah, like he is skinned down.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah. And he also, Oliver Smith, he also played the mental patient that we get to see in a bit in Dr. Channard's office.
Did he?
Yeah, that's that guy.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, he played a few roles.
Nice.
So after hearing Kirsty's story, Dr. Channard, who is secretly obsessed with the lament configuration, has the mattress brought to his home and convinces a mentally ill patient to lie on it and cut himself with a straight razor. The resulting blood frees a skinless Julia from the Cenobite dimension, and she subsequently consumes the mental patient for energy. Kyle, having snuck inside Channard's house to investigate Kirsty's claims, witnesses the events and flees in terror.
Oh, I feel so sorry for that mental patient with all the maggots on him. He's so vulnerable and he's supposed to be getting taken care of. And along comes this Dr. Channard.
Dickhead.
Absolute dickhead.
Yeah, I mean,
Gross though.
He's got pictures and stuff everywhere, all over his office. Is that his office or his house?
His house, I think. Like, when he phoned up and said, "Can I have the mattress delivered to my house?" Did they not question that?
Yeah.
Is that
like,
a norm? To my
why?
house, not the hospital, my house. Surely they'd be like, "Why do you want that in your house?"
Yeah. You're like, he's a doctor.
Yeah, I'm sure he's doing doctorly things in his house.
He knows what he wants. So, the thing I didn't get was, why is there 3 puzzle boxes?
I feel like they were replicas, because he had loads at the end as well, didn't he, with all the patients in the beds practicing.
What, like, he's been trying to make his own, or... Where would you get more? I thought it was just a puzzle box, you open it, and that's the way
Just
into the
one.
thing, you know?
I felt like they were practice runs, but then how would he know what it had to look like without knowing how to solve
How do you
it?
go about creating a puzzle box?
So you couldn't, if you didn't know how to solve the puzzle box, you couldn't make the puzzle box. That doesn't make sense.
No.
Don't know then.
Do you reckon if they did, they would all work the same way? Or there'll be different dimensions? I don't know.
Maybe one goes to Weave World.
Ooh.
Collab.
Yeah. In the original, when Frank came back, he was just like a goopy kind of torso that kind of came out of the floor. And it took him a good 2 or 3 people to kind of get to the stage where Julia was at. Because she comes out in a mattress and she's almost there. You know, she just needs some... She just needs some skin.
Yeah, well, I thought that. But then in the first one, doesn't he start to come back because Larry cuts himself and he gets some blood, so he just like comes back a little bit?
Yeah, I guess that was just like one splash of blood on the floor, whereas
but
this
then
was
she
like
does
a whole
bring
person.
like 3 or 4 men back, doesn't she? And kills them.
Yeah, she brings a few, which also raises some more questions later on, because when they go into the attic, there's just like loads of people just hanging. I guess you don't really know exactly how many were in the first one, so I don't know.
Gross though. I really thought, you know, the scene where she first comes out and she's kind of kneeling on the mattress and she's like, you know, doing all these body contortions and she's looking all gross and manky. I thought that went on. Did you?
Yeah.
I thought they're trying for like shock factor here.
Yeah.
And that is where I can see Clive Barker's influence, because a lot of the scenes that he writes are like, all right, you can stop now. That's enough now. We've seen enough.
Yeah. And she even says like to him, she like looks up and she's like, don't be scared of me.
Yeah.
You know, and then she like keeps looking at him like really creepy and moving around. I was like, all right, well, don't freak me out then.
Stop then. If you could just stand up and say hi, then I wouldn't be scared. Yeah, you can tell she regrets all her life choices though.
I mentioned this in the first one. I was like, you don't want to be stuck in that stage where like your nerves are coming back but you've got no skin. I mean,
maybe that's what the body contortions are for. A bit itchy.
Oh. Ugh, yeah. I mean, she looked cool. I thought the visual of her, like the way she looked, did look good. Not as believable as Frank in the first one, but you know, that was obviously played by a really skinny person. But yeah, this one, she's obviously literally just wearing a kind of suit of muscles and veins.
Yeah, it does look a bit more made.
Yeah. So Kirsty meets a young mute patient named Tiffany, who demonstrates an amazing aptitude for puzzles. Kyle arrives back at the hospital and informs Kirsty that he believes everything is true. The two decide to return to Channard's house. Meanwhile, Channard, seduced by Julia, has brought more mentally ill patients to his home for her to feed on and regenerate. Kirsty and Kyle arrive at Channard's home. Kyle is killed by a now fully regenerated Julia, and Kirsty is knocked unconscious.
Poor Kyle.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be a good character.
Poor silly Kyle.
He left us too soon. He did a lot of the legwork in this one. I'm surprised they didn't keep him on. I think he was a better character than Tiffany. I know they kind of need Tiffany, but no? Is he killable?
Yeah, I think he was killable.
Okay, alright.
I didn't expect him to be that big a character.
I guess.
He seemed a bit wet.
So was Larry.
Poor Kyle.
Yeah, this is what I was on about. There's so many bodies.
But
just,
he was
like,
so
hanging
gullible,
around.
wasn't he? Julia was stood behind him, you know, playing this quaking, scared woman, and he didn't think to question her.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have a few questions.
You'd be like, well, who are you? Why are you here with all the flies?
He's standing around like 15 dead people, and she just walks in. Oh, no, they meet on the landing, don't they? But yeah, but still, they go in together, and she's just so totally chill about it. You'd have a few questions.
You'd have some questions.
You're like, so who are you?
Yeah, why are you here in this house with all these murdered people?
Why are you missing a bit of your back? So yeah, something interesting, another bit of trivia. I've got so much trivia for this one, so I've had to put some throughout the plot. Otherwise, we'll be there all night in the trivia section later on. But Julia and Kirsty, when they face off against each other in this bit in the loft, Julia calls herself the evil queen, but Julia was actually originally supposed to rise from the mattress as the queen of hell. The theory being that she would be the series' continuing character. But once Hellraiser 1987 opened, Pinhead proved to be the most popular character among the public.
Oh, they thought it was going to be Julia.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they wanted Julia to be like the main kind of person.
Nah, Julia wasn't a good character.
The queen of
She's
hell.
a slag.
Yeah, she is. She just kisses Kyle before killing him. I feel like there's more. Oh, Dr. Channard.
Yeah, they're getting off.
They're getting off and she's got no skin.
How and why would you want to get off with someone without any skin?
Oh.
I didn't think she looked wet enough, though. You know,
Really?
when she's like, hasn't got any skin on her. That's going to cause a lot of like oozing. And if I was directing that movie, I'd have had like people on standby with these spray bottles to get her. Like,
oil her up.
yeah, every time the scene cuts, spray, quick. Keep her wet.
We need more lube.
Yeah, wet Julia. She's drying out. Moisturise me.
Oh, man. So, Channard and Julia kidnap Tiffany and force her to unlock the lament configuration so they can enter the labyrinth-like world of Pinhead and the Cenobites. The Cenobites momentarily spare Tiffany when Pinhead states that she was not responsible for solving the puzzle. It was Channard's desire.
Yeah, I was worried for Tiffany. I was thinking, well, surely they're just going to hook her the minute she completes that.
Well, you know, Pinhead, he's a nice guy. He's reasonable.
Is he, though? Should he be? I'll get on to this later.
Okay,
But I'm not keen on that idea.
No?
But yeah, poor Tiffany. She just loves a puzzle.
Yeah.
And she's being dragged into all this chaos for loving a puzzle.
Loves a puzzle.
Poor girl.
Nah. They always... This is the thing that bugs me about the whole franchise, the whole series, everything. They always make it seem so difficult to solve the puzzle box. Like it's some really, really hard thing to do. But when you actually watch them, they just run their fingers over it.
Yeah.
It just opens up. Oh, let me just tickle this bit of the box. And oh, there it goes.
How could you possibly know? Like, I'm thinking about your mum buys you puzzles every year for Christmas. We sit there trying to do them. How could you possibly know where to stroke it, where to tickle it? Even if you were great at puzzles. Like, how could you know?
It's a magic box.
Because at the end, where she's got the circular bit, and she just, like, brushes her finger around it.
That's what I mean.
And stops.
Yeah.
And some air's coming. It's like, well, how would anybody know to do that? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think they mentioned all the types of different configurations in the first Hellraiser, but I know in the remake, what was that, 2022? I think it was last year. But in the remake, that was like a huge part of the movie. You know, you get all the different types. I don't know if it's like 6 or something, styles of configurations. They've all got different names and stuff. But is there anything in the book that says that there's more than one configuration?
Not that I remember.
No?
It's not to say there isn't, but I remember there just not being as much focus on the puzzle box. He did it in the beginning, and that's all I remember.
Oh.
But it was more about like the story and the Cenobites and Frank and Julia's whole kind of weird, gross romance thing. And there was a lot of scenes with like gore and Frank being in hell and being ripped apart. Lots and lots of detail on that.
So, where are we? In hell, the entity Leviathan, is that how you say it? Leviathan. Okay. Alright, sorry. Leviathan.
Sorry.
Looks like Leviathan. Leviathan, in the shape of a gigantic elongated diamond, rotates in space above the labyrinth, shooting out black beams, which makes Channard remember some of the atrocities he's committed, Julia calls Leviathan the god of flesh, hunger, and desire, the lord of the labyrinth. Kirsty, who now possesses the lament configuration, follows them in. That was cool. You get some good visual effects of that. What do you make of the labyrinth from the way it looks?
It did look cool. So my initial thought was, why is there a circus in hell?
Yeah.
When Tiffany runs in, thinking, okay, that's interesting, but sure. It did look cool. You can definitely tell the film's age.
You remember it's 1988.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But it definitely brings me back to, I think in the beginning you said, like, how does the book kind of hit on things that the movie doesn't or can't? But this is definitely something, and even now it's something, like when you're reading a scene like that, where you see this whole big tormented hell world and this thing floating in the sky. I don't think even now a movie can replicate like what you imagine when reading a scene like that.
Yeah.
Particularly the fact that it was made in the 80s.
Yeah, I forget when the first one came out. I think that might have been 86, maybe. But yeah, I mean...
Yeah, you don't actually see the world in the first one, do you?
No.
No,
you see when Kirsty goes... Like, she goes to a hospital after she escapes from seeing Skinless Frank. She goes to a hospital and then she solves the puzzle and the walls open up and she goes in. But I don't think she goes that far, because that's when she gets chased back out by... what do they call it? The engineer, the little monster, Cenobite.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely don't see a labyrinth or anything on this scale. It's all fairly simple. I mean, this is Pinewood Studios, so it's no.
Well, yeah, they had like an extra 5 mil on their budget this time, so you can tell with all their effects.
Yeah, as far as that carnival thing, when Tiffany goes in, you know, because she hears the music and finds a carnival. I'm assuming that's to kind of signify her desire. Because when Pinhead came out, he was like, oh, this isn't her desire. And then she hears the carnival thing goes in. So I'm guessing maybe that is...
But I'm surprised it wasn't just a load of puzzles then.
Yeah, true.
She loves a puzzle.
Although, actually saying that, doesn't she go to one of those like mirror mazes?
Oh, yeah. Could be a puzzle.
Could argue that that's a human-sized puzzle.
One could argue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see a bit of her kind of backstory. There's something to do with her mother. I think it touches on it later on.
Yeah, that was quite heartbreaking. That made me sad.
Yeah.
She took her to the doctor and said, my daughter is obsessed with puzzles. Can you help her? And he's like, oh, better kill you and admit her to a psych ward. She just needed a bit of therapy.
Where was
That's all she took her in for.
I did make a note about this. Yeah, later on, because they touch on it later on. I said, you know, we get a backstory of Tiffany where her mum took her to see Dr. Channard because puzzles were taking over her life. And I was like, that's a kind of stupid thing to go to the doctor for. I was like, our son is obsessed with Cocomelon, but we don't take him to the doctors over it.
Oh, maybe we should. Our kid's obsessed with Cocomelon. Please help. Well, I feel like she just wanted her in for a bit of talking therapy, you know? Talk it out. Why are you so obsessed with puzzles?
Yeah.
But then you're like that the last 2 weeks after Christmas, when you get all your puzzles.
I do like a puzzle. You
do like a puzzle. But be careful, because your mum might get killed. That was so dark. I'm so sorry.
She might take me to the doctor. At 30 years old, she takes me to the doctor. My son is obsessed with puzzles.
Yeah, she might.
Man. Why, as well, why does Tiffany go mute? Why does she stop talking? There's a lot...
Because she watched her mother get killed, because she liked puzzles too much.
Did she see it?
I think she'd stopped
There's
doing
not
puzzles.
enough story for Tiffany. I really didn't follow her bit. You only get like 2 little bits of knowledge about her.
They needed less like weird body twitching Julia and more backstory on Tiffany.
Yeah. Could have got an extra 5 minutes out of that.
Could have. Maybe 10.
Right, so Pinhead and the other Cenobites find Kirsty and tell her that she's free to explore. Julia portrays Channard to Leviathan to be turned into a Cenobite. As Channard screams during the procedure, Julia reveals that she has a mission to bring souls to Leviathan, including Channard's.
Good.
Yeah.
He deserved everything he got.
He did.
Although I think he's enjoying it too much.
You think?
By the end, he's loving it. He's like, haha, look at my knife eyeballs.
Yeah, but he's a Cenobite then, isn't he? By that point.
Well, that's what I mean. He doesn't deserve to be enjoying himself.
I'm sure Pinhead's living it up when he's Pinhead.
He's living it up.
I don't know.
Yeah, don't know about all that.
It was an epic death, though, wasn't it?
It was an epic death, yeah. It was a good scene.
Mm.
But when he can't, because there's a scene a bit later, isn't there, where he comes and he's looking at all the people in the hospital.
Mm.
And he's loving it.
Yeah.
He's loving the torment.
Yeah.
And I don't think he should be. I think he should have stayed in that box, just getting squashed by barbed wire over and over again.
I've noticed as well, there's a few times where they've kind of said the same quotes as they did from the original. Because some of the quotes in the original movie are so iconic. I feel like they had a little responsibility to bring them back again. Because like Julia says to Channard when they come into the labyrinth, she was like, "Oh, I've got such sights to show you." You know, obviously that's so iconic.
We have such sights to show you.
And she did.
They definitely felt like they needed to quote and bring back elements from the first one, didn't they?
Absolutely. So this is a good scene. So Kirsty encounters Frank Cotton in the labyrinth, who reveals that he tricked her by pretending to be her father, Larry. Yep. Julia appears and destroys Frank in revenge for killing her, allowing Kirsty to escape. Julia is then killed by a vortex that,
Why is that funny?
that opens within the labyrinth, leaving only her skin behind.
It sucks her out of her skin.
Oh god, I laughed. It was such a good little moment in that film. Didn't you find that funny?
No,
she's
not
like holding on to
especially.
it, and she just like was gonna get sucked off, but yeah, she's holding on to the walls, and she goes, but her skin don't.
Yeah, her skin stays. Her skin has to stay because she's got the elongated oblong. And they need that.
I mean, is she? I don't. I'm getting a bit lost now. Is Julia a hero at this point, or was she just revenging on Frank because she's got beef with Frank? Was she saving Kirsty, or?
No, I don't think she was saving her. I like that scene because I like the bit where Kirsty did like a little bit of a trick, and because he was trying to get her in bed, basically. That's why he called her there.
Yeah.
And I like the way she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do anything as long as you don't hurt me." And she's like going to the bed, and he's, "Oh." And then she's like, in your dreams, and she burns him.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was good. Because all his characters are stupid and they're like, "No, don't hurt me," and trying to escape. And I'm thinking, just pretend you're going with it and then run away. So I like that they did that.
That's so weird though. That's his niece.
Well, yeah. He's a disgusting man. We know that.
Yeah, he's very rapey. I think he was like that in the first one as well.
Yeah, wasn't he trying to come onto her in the first one?
Yeah, and that was even worse because that's when he was in her dad's skin.
Ugh.
So it's like him/her dad.
So gross. But yeah, it's definitely nice to know that Frank gets what he deserves because he's a dirty pervert.
Oh, and that's when he says this as well.
Come to Daddy.
Disgusting. But I don't think that Julia is saving Kirsty so much as she just wants to.
She just happened to turn up at the right time. Was like, oh, there you
right
are. Right
place, right time. So, oh, you're a prick. Time to die.
Time to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then you kind of start to like Julia. Because you think, good.
And then she goes after him and then literally gets turned into a freaking glove.
Yeah. She gets her skin sucked off.
So after that, Kirsty and Tiffany reconnect and attempt to escape, but are ambushed by Channard, who has now become a Cenobite. The girls flee and encounter Pinhead and his Cenobites. Kirsty shows Pinhead a photograph of Spencer that she took from Channard's study, and he gradually remembers that he was human, and the other Cenobites remember that they were also human too at one point.
No, I don't like that.
You don't like that, no?
Why are they going good guys? That doesn't make sense. Pinhead is a very iconic and very good villain. He's the bad guy. I think that they have said, oh, everyone loves Pinhead, so we need to make him a good guy. So they've just played on the fact that everybody likes Pinhead and decided that he needs this big character arc. And if he's a Cenobite, he must have done something horrible and disgusting.
Like Frank.
Exactly, because Frank is a horrible man. And Channard, he was cutting up animals when he was a kid. He's torturing all these mental patients. That's the reason that he's, accepted becoming a Cenobite. So this guy, Spencer, he's obviously done something gross. He's accepted becoming a Cenobite, which means he's a horrible person. So why are they trying to give him this good guy character arc? I don't support it.
Yeah.
I'm not here for it.
Yeah, I'll get into that more in the next bit, because the next bit it shows it go a bit further.
Okay.
But as far as the Channard Cenobite, they all have their own unique look,
They do.
don't they?
I love the one with the chattery teeth. He makes me giggle.
The chatterer.
Yeah.
I noticed as well, he's got that thing in his head that kind of holds him up. If you remember, right in the very beginning of the film, when you first see Channard, when he's in the hospital and he's doing that operation, he uses that little drill thing when he's doing brain surgery or whatever it is on that woman.
I think it was a lobotomy.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think so.
But it's like a little drill thing, isn't it? And they're going into her head.
Yeah, lobotomy.
Yeah, but that is the exact same thing that goes into his head, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it showed him becoming a Cenobite.
lobotomized.
The little drill thing goes... Yeah. So is that a constant lobotomy he's getting?
Maybe.
Because they say it's
And
a
he's
mix between pleasure and pain, isn't
He's
it?
just absolutely loving it.
Oh, he's living life.
With
Loves
his
it.
eyeball hands.
He's always wanted to be a Cenobite.
Yeah, dreams are coming true for Channard.
Dreams.
I think he looks freaky and good, and I do like the eyeballs with the knives coming out.
You do get a bit of stop motion effects from his fingers. I don't know, how would you describe it? He's got little knives, scalpels coming out of him, and yeah, that was stop motion. But I'd rather a little bit of clunky stop motion over some really bad CGI any day, especially back in the 80s.
Yeah.
If they would have used CGI, that would have been a hell of a lot worse.
It would have looked terrible.
Yeah, but didn't seem that bad. You take it for what it is. It's an 80s film.
I thought they did it really well. The way they had him moving and things, I thought, like you say, for an 80s film, I thought they did it well.
Yeah.
He was freaky looking.
Yeah, he was. So suddenly Channard appears and beckons Tiffany, who regains her ability to talk.
Yay!
Pinhead and the other Cenobites attempt to fight him, but Channard easily overpowers and kills them all. Before being killed, Spencer exchanges a poignant glance with Kirsty.
No.
Didn't like that.
Didn't like that. Don't like Pinhead being a good guy.
I don't know how I feel about Pinhead smiling.
Why is he smiling? Why is he being happy? He is a Cenobite. He is supposed to be causing pleasure and pain.
I mean,
not pleasure.
I mean, I should have wrote this down. But in the first one, I think he only got about 8 minutes of screen time. I feel like in this one they've definitely amped it up. I mean, you still don't get an awful lot of him, but he has got a lot more dialogue and stuff in this film than he did in the original.
Yeah, this is it.
So his acting, I think, has gone up a notch, but doesn't necessarily mean you need to pull a lot of faces and smile and, you know, I don't know. It was weird.
It was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good way to go with Pinhead. They've done it because the audience liked him as a character.
Yeah.
But the audience liked his, like, very solace, silent, tortured character. And now they've made this, you know, oh, this poor guy, you know, he was in the war and he became a Cenobite because he killed people in the war. And now he's letting Kirsty go free. I disagree.
Saying that, fans were pissed that Pinhead died in this one.
It was sad.
And they die really easily. You got that in the first one. Cenobites aren't fighters. They're lovers, they're not fighters.
Pleasure and pain.
Yeah, they don't put up much of a fight. I mean, all they've really got is hooks and chains. So when someone can cut the chains, what you gonna do?
Well, maybe that's what it's like in the BDSM nightclub scene. They're lovers, not fighters.
And the others do fuck all as well, don't they?
Yeah.
The other Cenobites are just standing there watching. Because I remember there's the hooks and chains that Pinhead throws at Channard. And then as soon as Channard, like, rips the chains off, he, like, cuts them with his little scalpel somehow. But he cuts them off. And the female one, Cenobite, she just kind of like... a shocked look.
Oh dear.
Was like, oh, we're fucked now.
Oh goodness.
And the fat one just stands there licking his lips. Doesn't he? Like,
Yeah.
his name's Butterball.
Well, I don't know. They've been Cenobites for such a long time. They've forgotten where they came from, right? That's the whole point. So maybe they just don't really give a shit. Maybe they're like, I don't mind if I die.
Then again, they are literally just now realising that they were once human. So maybe they're like thinking what they were like when they were human and
But they
caught them
were
off guard.
obviously not good humans.
Yeah.
But maybe like all the time in the Cenobite lifestyle has made them reflect on their poor human decisions, and now they're chill.
True. I don't know.
Still, I don't think Pinhead should have gone good guy.
I don't think so.
Remaining neutrally, like, neither good nor bad would have been okay.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of looking a bit scathing and letting her run off, maybe. Like, ugh, fine,
yeah.
I don't even care anymore.
I do kind of like the fact that you get to see his, you know, what he was like when he was human, and she shows her the picture of him, and he kind of starts remembering what he was like when he was human. I kind of like that aspect, but it doesn't mean he has to go good. Like, he could kind of like start to remember, and then, I don't know, Cenobite in him takes over again and be like, "Mrr."
Yeah, or he could have had
But
a
this is me now.
flashback. But obviously he'd done something that was, like, messed up. So he could have had his flashback and kind of, oh yeah, I was a human. And then, like, maybe we think he's going to go good for a second.
And then realise what he did.
And then we have a flash of whatever it was he did that made him get sent to be a Cenobite.
Something happened in that war.
Something happened. And then he's like, and he flicks the picture. See, I'm rewriting this movie, sorry. He can flick the picture into a flame and look back at Kirsty. Say, fuck you.
Right, where are we? So, Channard traps Kirsty and Tiffany. Kirsty finds Julia's skin and wears it to distract Channard, giving Tiffany enough time to once again solve the lament configuration. Channard is killed and the door to hell is finally closed. The girls leave the hospital.
Surely you're never that desperate, are you? To put on the skin of your dead aunt?
It's not her aunt. It's her stepmum.
Oh. Slash aunt.
It's Dad's wife.
She was also getting off with her uncle.
Okay. Yeah,
dead
I guess.
stepmum slash aunt's glove skin. How desperate do you have to be to wear that?
Yeah, that's weird.
But if you're trying to vanquish some Cenobites, then I guess you're pretty desperate.
She fit into that skin really well as well.
Yeah, you think it'd be a bit saggy.
I mean, their proportions weren't great, were they? You stand them two next to each other, I'd be like, oh yeah, perfect fit.
Oh yeah.
Like a glove.
Maybe she tied it up at the back with a hairband. Keep it tight.
Oh. I think there's an episode of Simpsons where they do that, where Homer loses all his weight and he ties it all back with a clip.
Like an industrial clip.
So yeah, this was the bit that I was on about, where you get a little bit more backstory about Tiffany, where her mum took her to Channard because the puzzle was taking over her life and all that. But I still don't follow it.
You don't follow it?
I don't know, it's all...
Well, all it really showed was...
This is the scene where it showed more, like her mum actually taking her to the hospital and...
Yeah. She says, my daughter's obsessed with puzzles, can you help her? So to me, I saw like a mum taking her child into just hoping for weekly psychiatric chats with this doctor. And he's thought, oh, puzzles, you say? So...
I've got something for her.
I've got a puzzle she can try. And the mum's, no, I just want weekly sessions. So he kills her, takes the girl, and puts her in the hospital that he works at. I don't think she was trying to admit her daughter to the hospital. I think she just wanted, a little bit of help.
Yeah. It would have been nice to get a little bit more character development from her.
Yeah, I like Tiffany
and her
as well.
kind of story. You don't really get much of her
character.
She was alright, yeah. Definitely, if you got a bit more from her, then I don't know.
I would have liked to have known more.
Also, where did Kirsty pull that skin out from? Julia's skin. It just came out of nowhere. She stuff it in her back pocket. Because you see him go to get that lament. Is it the lament one? The configuration? Yeah, it's like a diamond thing.
The elongated diamond.
That's the one. Because they go and get that, which obviously Julia was holding on to, and they run away with it. You don't exactly see her with it over her shoulder or something, do you?
She probably ran back. I don't know.
Okay.
She ran back.
Through a labyrinth.
Slipped it on. She got out her industrial clip, did the backup, so it was nice and taut. Somehow didn't throw up at the thought of putting her arms into her dead aunt / stepmom's skin.
Wow. Not only that, not only is she wearing that skin, she then gets off with the Cenobite Channard.
Yeah, that was a long time.
For enough time for Tiffany to crack out that configuration on the puzzle box.
Some serious desperation there. So when you first watched it, did you know that it was her in the skin? No.
It's been a long time since I've seen this one. I've always known it was a good sequel, but it was one of them kind of one and done. It was okay, well that's where that goes. That's it. I didn't read too much into it because it wasn't... Hellraiser is one of my top favourite horrors. And I kind of leave it as that. That is the horror. As far as the 10 other films in the franchise, I've left them alone a little bit.
Yeah, milk.
But my first time watching it, I probably didn't know it was her.
You didn't realise, you thought Julie had got back somehow.
Although saying that, I mean, it's hard to tell what I was thinking back then, but she had like the blood in their hairline kind of thing, and that's what Larry had in the original. When he was wearing when Frank was wearing Larry's skin, he had like blood around the hair and stuff like that.
Coming out of his mouth, like on the lip.
Yeah, and that's kind of how she looked in this one. So yeah, I guess if I was watching that today, then I probably would have thought it was. What about you?
I read ahead on my notes and spoiled it for myself, so I'm a bit upset with that. So I'll never know if I would have believed it was Julia or not.
You read the plot before you saw the movie?
Yeah, I didn't mean to. It was just there. It's like when you drop a book and it lands on the end page and your brain just reads it and you're thinking, spoilers! But now you've read it and it's too late and you can never go back and you can never unspoil it. So, that's that. I'll never know if I would have bought the ploy or not.
So this is where it all wraps up.
Can I just add something from the last bit first?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, the visual effects, the CGI, all the blue flashing lights. What did you think of them, when they were coming out? And there was like zaps of blue lights flashing.
Oh, yeah.
And then there was a skull on the wall as it closed.
I didn't make any notes about that. But if you remember the first one, how they ended that one, that was very much the same.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of bad CGI.
It was absolute trash. I loved it.
It weren't great, but take it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like when in the first one, at the end, Kirsty's solving the puzzle box and she's sending all the Cenobites back to their dimension. You get that exact same type of CGI where it's like kind of the outlines of them really badly and they fade away. So yeah, that I'm glad actually you do get that because it makes it feel more like the original was.
Yeah, well, you get blips of it throughout the film, don't you? Like, so when they were doing the puzzle box and obviously when they do the recaps. But that was a lot of flashy blue.
Yeah, it was a lot. I'm not even sure what that was supposed to be. But however, you said about that skull that was on the wall, like as the walls were closing, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then you get that skull. That, I think, was the engineer. The engineer Cenobite, when in the first one it's chasing her down the corridor.
Shut the door.
Yeah, that's the Cenobite that chases her down the corridor.
I didn't realise that.
Well, I mean, I might be wrong, but that's what it looked like. It looked like the face of the engineer.
There we go. That's good.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was such like... Because normally when you get a movie in the 1980s... the acting is not that strong. Not like if you watch a movie that was made this year. I thought it sort of... the acting was done so well that you almost forgot that it was a movie from that era. I thought they were all really on point with their acting, especially like the two main girls. For like female leads especially. And that like brought you back to... oh yeah, this is a movie from the 80s, isn't it? With all of that terrible CGI.
Yeah. I think I put in the original one when we reviewed that my favourite actress was, what's her name? The girl that plays Kirsty, Ashley Laurence.
She looks a lot like Winona Ryder, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Do you think she does?
Yeah.
I thought it was her. I had to look it up.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, I think...
Winona Ryder.
I think she would have been, what, like 10 or something?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because she was in... What was she in as a child?
I think one of her early ones was Beetlejuice.
That's what I'm thinking, Beetlejuice.
Not sure when that came out.
Not a child, she was like a teenager.
Was she? I don't know when that came out. But she was really young in that. Yeah. Yeah, but I think in my first review, she was my favourite. I thought her acting was on point. She was really believable. Everyone else, yeah, mediocre, standard. But in this one, actually, I think Clare Higgins, Julia, I think she was probably the best.
She stepped up
actress.
her acting, definitely.
Yeah.
But even the so her little friend
Tiffany.
But even Tiffany, like, because she didn't even have many lines, but her like facial acting and all of these things, I thought it was really good. It was believable.
Yeah.
That she was going through this traumatic, scary hell world.
Yeah. You say she don't have many lines. She was mute.
Well, she's got like a line. What does she like swears?
She
once.
screams.
No, she goes fuck at one point, or shit or something.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
When at the end, when he comes out the wall with his eyeball hands, she goes, "Ah, shit."
Oh,
Did you not
yeah,
notice
yeah,
that?
yeah.
I'm like, damn, Tiffany, watch that now. You haven't spoken for years.
She's talking again. Oh, what was her first word? Shit. Okay, so this is the final part of the movie. So, two moving men are removing Dr. Channard's belongings from his home, and one is pulled inside of the mattress, and the other witnesses a mysterious pillar rise from within it. One of the faces fused to the pillar is the vagrant from the previous film, which asked the man, "What's your pleasure, sir?"
Yeah, what was that all about?
Nailed it. I don't know. Because he was the homeless looking guy in the first one. But you know how the first one starts and finishes is someone buying the puzzle box from someone in some other country. I don't know where it is. So yeah, so obviously Frank buys the puzzle box from someone in the beginning, says, "What's your pleasure, sir?" And he buys it, and that's when it happens. And then it ends. But throughout the first one, you see that homeless guy go into the pet shop and kind of see Kirsty throughout the movie. He's eating like bugs and stuff. And then at the end, he goes into the fire when they try and burn the puzzle box, and he flies off with the puzzle box.
And then it's magically back, isn't it, at the shop?
Yeah, and then it's back at the end when he sells it again to a new person.
That's interesting, isn't it?
But
What do you think? He's got some like homeless flying slave?
Well, yeah, he turns into some kind of like
winged creature.
Yeah,
cool.
Some like demon dragon.
I want one
thing.
Can go and get stuff for me.
But that's his face on the spinning pillar at the end.
Ah, is that him? Is it?
Yeah. And that's when he says to the camera at the end, "What's your pleasure, sir?" So yeah.
Don't know about all that.
No, I found that a bit weird in the first one.
Look, you have been employed to clear out some dead guy's house. Okay? You're moving the boxes. You go into a room, mundane, your job. You see a mattress covered with blood. What do you do?
I'll tell you what I do.
Nope.
Exactly. In what world do you approach that mattress?
I would walk into that room,
dip your finger in.
Not happening. Turn around, go home. I don't get paid enough for this shit.
And he goes in and he starts dipping his finger in the blood. He's like, "Oh, what's this? Why would you do that?"
Yeah.
Why would you do
But that moving man there, he's the same moving man from the first one.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well.
And he was a weirdo in the first one as well.
Oh, maybe he'll be the next Cenobite. Is he in the next one?
No.
That would have been a good sequel then. This moving man is actually a pervert as well.
There is a cool Cenobite in the third one though. It's been many years since I've seen it, but there's some guy who owns like a record shop and he's all about CDs or something, and he turns into a Cenobite, and he's literally like kind of made out of CDs, and he like flings CDs at people to kill them.
What? That sounds like some Nighty Boosh thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound good. I don't think I'm going to watch the third one.
You should.
Maybe.
Alright, yeah, that is everything. That is Hellbound Hellraiser 2. So let's go ahead and rate this movie. So I'll go ahead and say, with my rating, overall, I think it was a decent movie. It was one of the best examples of how to do a successful sequel. Tony Randel did a great job of continuing Clive Barker's vision. It's normally a bit worrying when a different director takes over, especially when the original director actually wrote the first film as well.
And the book.
I'm glad the majority of the original cast was back. You know, Kirsty, Julia and Frank. And Pinhead, obviously. But,
good guy, Pinhead.
they played them all, you know, very well. I remember saying... I mentioned this before. I remember saying in the first one that Julia wasn't very believable, and sometimes she fell a little bit flat in her acting. But I think she redeemed herself in this one. She did a good job. There's nothing really too bad that I can say about it, other than some minor storyline discrepancies against the first one, like the way Julia regenerated compared to how Frank did it in the first one, and Cenobites getting taken a little bit too easy. And I wanted a little bit more character development from Tiffany. But aside from that, it's a great sequel. It's really good. I enjoyed it. And I'm rating this with the ratings of Skinless Julias. So 7.5 Skinless Julias out of 10. What about you? How would you rate this?
Is the 0.5 like when half her skins come off like a glove?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just agree. Sure.
I thought an 8 was a bit too high, and 7 wasn't generous enough. So I think a 7.5 was the right amount for me. But what about you? How would you rate this film?
So I did really like the whole film. I thought the acting was good, and I really liked the main characters. I liked that it was quite female-led, which again is quite unusual for a film in the 80s. So that's always nice to see. And it's nice to see when their acting is good, and they're not just paying women because they've got nice bodies. So go, film creators. It was engaging, it was interesting the whole way through. I think they did the villain well. He was messed up guy. Totally hated him. But like I say, I think they were a bit too soft on Pinhead, and I didn't like the whole good guy development character thing. I agree. Definitely felt like just a crowd pleasing, like trying to get through to their fans, and wasn't keen on that. So I've given it a 7 out of 10 Skinless Julias.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Yeah.
We was near enough on point with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree mostly.
Good. All right, awesome. Right, are you ready to head into the trivia section?
Indeed.
Awesome.
Trivia. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've got a bit of trivia. I've got 5 bits of trivia. The first one is Nicholas Vince, who plays the Chatterer Cenobite. Whilst filming, he received a hook to the jaw in one of the scenes involving his character being impaled on a swinging torture rack surrounded by many hanging chains.
Oh, he actually got Cenobited.
Yeah, he actually took a hook to the jaw.
Poor guy.
Damn. Yeah. An in-depth subplot detailing the origins of Pinhead was scripted but deleted in pre-production due to last-minute budget cuts. All that remains is the subplot of the film's prologue showing Captain Spencer opening the box and transforming into Pinhead. Pinhead and Spencer's backstory was later explored in Hellraiser III, Hell on Earth.
Oh, right. So we did have a bit more backstory.
Yeah, he did have a lot more backstory.
Okay, you might sell me to watch the third one then, to see that.
Good. Andrew Robinson refused to reprise his role as Larry Cotton, forcing hastily script rewrites. This particular accounts for the muddled story structure of the final film. I thought it was alright. It would have been nice to have him in there, but
yeah,
I think they worked around it.
Made it work.
This one I didn't notice. I don't know whether you did, but the horn sound that is continually made by Leviathan is Morse code for God.
I didn't notice him making a horn sound.
No, I didn't either.
No. Interesting. A Leviathan is like, I think it's in the Bible, it's a demonic thing.
Okay.
A demonic spirit or something, I think.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alright, last one. When Frank accidentally stabs Julia in the first film, he states, "It's nothing personal, baby," before leaving her for the Cenobites. In the second film, this one, Julia throws that line back at Frank when she quite intentionally and quite literally rips his heart out. When the Cenobites finally recapture Frank in the first film, he delivers this last line to Kirsty before being ripped apart.
Jesus wept.
Kirsty throws that line back to him in the second.
Yeah, you were saying earlier they do use some of the same lines.
Yeah.
And they're all Julia doing it, aren't they?
Yeah.
She really wanted that comeback from her poor acting in the first one.
Yeah. And that is all the trivia I have for this film. So, if you're ready, we'll head into this week's game.
Yeah.
I want to play a game.
Alright, this week's game, nice and simple. This is the Hellraiser quiz. I've collected a load of questions. I think I've got 6 questions. Yep. 6 questions, all Hellraiser related. So this is mostly for films 1 and 2. However, I think there is maybe a question throughout the franchise and the book. So, whose blood resurrects Frank?
Lenny. Is he called Lenny?
Who the fuck's Lenny?
Sorry, it's Larry.
Do you wanna try that again? I think I know who you're talking about, but
Larry.
Pinhead describes himself and the other Cenobites as 2 things. What are they?
2 things. Pain and pleasure.
I can give you a clue.
Okay.
Alright. Fill in the blanks. Blank to some, blank to others.
I know the quote as well, but I can't remember. I don't know. I can't.
No.
Shall I just guess?
Go on then.
Kind to some and cruel to others.
Somehow I don't think that'll have the same ring to it.
Well, maybe this new good guy Pinhead, he might say it.
No, it is demons to some, angels to others.
So it's the same. It's
kind of
synonyms of the same.
I'm going to say that's a no.
Damn. God, that goes on a bit,
I
doesn't
know,
it?
I had to stop it. Okay, what was Pinhead's human name?
Spencer. What?
That's his last name.
Oh. Mr. Spencer?
Mr. Pin Spencer.
Pinny?
Mr. Pin. Okay, I'll give it to you. It's Elliot Spencer.
Elliot, I never would have got that.
Just a little yay.
Half a yay.
How many movies are there in total, including remakes?
10. What?
No.
You said that earlier, there was 10.
I said there was 11.
Oh. Okay. Whatever.
10 sequels, 1 remake.
Oh, 10 sequels.
I said how many are there in total, including remakes?
Alright.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
In Hell, what is the entity called in that takes the shape of a gigantic elongated diamond rotating in space above the labyrinth?
A Leviathan.
Alright, last one. Where is Frank Cotton when he first purchases the puzzle box?
Do you even know the answer to this?
No.
Thailand.
Thailand?
China?
No, he's in Morocco.
Oh, close.
Okay. Alright, that's it. That's all for this week's game. So, just to end this episode, we're going to wrap it up saying that this was a part of Sequel September. And it's coming to an end now with the poll pick that was chosen by our listeners and voted for Aliens to be the sequel that they wanted. I let it slip in the Alien episode that may possibly be the only sequel to maybe live up to the first one, or even possibly be better than the first one. So I'm really looking forward to watching that one.
Oh, make sure you come back for the next episode.
Yeah, is there anything you want to add before we close this week's episode?
They need to make Weave World into a TV series. That would be fabulous.
Awesome. Would you recommend people read the book?
Absolutely. Read the book. Especially if you're into, like, fantasy horror things.
Oh. Yeah, cool. All right, then. That's it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining me.
It's been a pleasure.
Pain or pleasure? If you've liked today's episode, be sure to go and like us on Facebook. That's where we announce our next episodes, as well as each month doing a themed poll pick where you get to choose what you want us to watch. We like to hear from you, so please feel free to leave us a comment or send us a message, or you can even email us at allthingshorror666@gmail.com. That's all for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
We all go a little mad sometimes.